best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sackheads Radio. Sackheads Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show. It is the 18th of May, 2016. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's good to be home. It's nice to be back in Command Central here at the SHR Media headquarters.
By the way, while you were gone,
yes,
if you noticed, that I want you to notice the new addition that we have in the studio.
Okay.
I know that you utilize the facilities already.
Yes.
Did you notice the sign?
I did notice the sign, and I really
You didn't say anything.
Well, it's one of those things that...
Look, I went through a lot of trouble. I want to make sure that we're compliant.
I didn't want to call you out on what I thought was your... I really thought you kind of did this.
Look, I'm trying to comply. Well, I mean, we have a new sign up, and it's we now have a true transgender restroom.
Very good. And here's the thing. I am so happy that now Sacco will be able to appropriately use the restroom.
Well, here's the thing about Sacco, because we're not sure if he's a Wookiee or a sloth, or we don't know what kind of hairy little wildebeest he is. So, other than just a Sacco. Now, I was reading through the various liberal rags, for lack of a better term, and I mean that in the most respectful way that you could mean.
Jerky
rag.
way that you could possibly mean, right.
And I was looking to see, and there was nowhere that I've been able to find that requires transgender restrooms to also be trans species.
Well,
Therefore, Sacco still cannot use that restroom and has to go outside in the yard.
Where we usually have them go.
Right.
But here's the problem with that. And I know this argument's been made before, so I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't. It's only a matter of time before a group like PETA pushes for animals to be allowed to use the inside bathroom.
Look, why shouldn't they?
Well, I agree.
Trans species. What if I identify as a dog?
I'm sure there are some people who have that opinion of you.
And they might listen to this show. No, seriously.
You notice I went amazingly silent on that statement, right? I said nothing at all.
No, but it's the look you gave with the wink, the thumbs up, and the high five from across the room that nobody caught. So, yeah, trans species. I think we should start a petition on whitehouse.org for trans species restroom and shower facilities.
I think that's a great use of the government's time and money. Because,
somebody should study this.
I love my dog very much. Part of our family.
Thank you.
Both my dogs, part of my family.
Thank you. Are you talking about me or?
No, actually, this time I'm not. Believe me, I'm actually talking about my dogs, Kona and Lola.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh,
look at I'm talking about my actual dogs.
I'm just every time I make them go outside to use the restroom.
So mean,
right?
Yeah.
I feel I die a little inside. The little look on their face when they're scratching at the door and headbutting it to try to beat me outside.
Right.
Really says to me that this is just horrible for them, and they do not enjoy it whatsoever.
Right. I mean, look at Jinx the cat.
Jinxie cat, right? I mean,
yeah.
I would have to say that was a progressive house. they were moving forward. They were thinking forward.
Absolutely.
Because that was a house where pets could go poo-poo inside.
Right, and I believe urinate as well in the toilet, not just inside, in the toilet.
Because
right.
that's where they're recognized,
Right.
and rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's important.
We need a petition. You know what drives me nuts? I fly a lot.
Yes,
Most people that have listened to us for a while know this. Why do people get to bring their stinking dogs on the airplane?
I don't know. I do not know. And you know what? I thought about that my last trip, because now, before we get the hate mail from anyone in the American
bring it. I don't care.
ADA
Bring it.
community,
Bring it.
American with Disability Act.
No, people bring their little purse dogs and their
That's where the problem is. I understand real assistance dogs,
yes,
right? The seeing eye dog, the the seizure awareness dog, stuff like that.
Right.
And they absolutely exist on a plethora of reasons. But those animals always wear their vests. You know where they are. The owners are...
and not a fake vest where you know it's a BS vest.
right, where it was sewn together that morning.
Right.
You know, and I was just in Dallas, obviously, last week, and I saw that several times.
And it's
on
not
the
just
plane.
dogs.
Going-
It could be any animal.
Any animal
Like
whatsoever.
you could walk around with your rooster out. You could walk around with your cock.
Right,
And just
in
walk
hand.
it. Yeah, in hand.
Under my arm.
Under your arm,
Yep.
whatever, just carrying it around, or on a leash, if
Right.
you wanted to tie it, put it on a leash.
Yeah.
And you could just walk your cock just
Wherever
out
I want.
for the world to see,
Right.
wherever you want. You could sit it next to you on the plane.
Right?
You know, you could have it down at your feet.
Yep.
You could probably put your cock on your head.
Yeah, if I really wanted
If
to.
you really wanted
Yep.
to, and I don't know if the rooster would stay.
I
or
don't know if
not.
the rooster would say either. Obviously, you take your cock to the bathroom.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you kind of have to. What are you going to do? You're going to leave your cock
But
out?
those bathrooms are kind of small. So then you'd have to train flight attendants the proper way.
To handle a cock. I mean, and before we get hate mail, we're talking about a rooster
Roosters,
here,
come
right? We're
on,
talking about a
people.
rooster. For those of you going crazy in the
It's
chat
horrible.
room,
I don't even know why people. Get your head out of the dirt. Really.
yeah. What kind of show do you think we're listening to? Ken's show ended already.
We're trying.
If this were Ken's show, we can understand where maybe you'd be getting some of these perverse ideas.
Yeah,
from.
absolutely. This is horrible.
yeah.
I mean, this is a mature show, folks. Ken says, RuPaul is listening. Please try to restrain yourself.
Sean's trying to restrain his cock right now. He actually brought his rooster into the studio.
Well, I'm going to put it out back for the night.
Okay.
Let it walk around the yard. But yeah, listen, this whole transgender bathroom thing is absolutely out of control right now. You have the president unilaterally deciding that all public schools that receive public funding,
Which is all schools except
Which
for
is-
private schools. Any public school,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
must now have transgendered bathrooms. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah. Oh, I don't need to. And now, when you say unilaterally, is that like a singular ladder?
Yes, it goes straight up.
Is like a Rose Suchik ladder, like from Santa Claus? The unilateral.
Unilateral.
Is that like a firefighter term?
Go ahead and get me 2 unilaterals on the side of that building right away.
There's
God
a cat.
damn it! Somebody get me a Barker Lounger.
There's a cat up there.
All right, we're going to shut the whole streets down. We're going to bring in about 5, 6, 7 unilaterals, guys?
Seven
bring 'em in.
unilaterals. And hey, Vinny, you got the
Vinny.
tri-tip?
Yeah.
Yeah, bring that thing over here. I'm
Yeah.
hungry.
Who brought the portable Weber? If we don't have the portable Weber, people will die.
And by people, we mean cats. We heard the Sackheads show.
Those bastards. Cats are dying all over the place.
They're
It's a tragedy.
people too.
Cats are people, too.
This is a trans-species
Jersey
rescue
Joe got another sign. Another T-shirt going.
here. Cats are people too.
Cats are people, too.
That might already exist.
Pets' lives matter.
Pets' lives matter. No.
Trans animal bathrooms. I support trans animal bathrooms.
Trans-species.
Trans-species
restrooms.
Yes. I like
And have
that.
like a minotaur on the front of the shirt.
Well, you have all those people now who are identifying as furries.
Right.
Have
So-
you seen this shit? I mean, jeez.
Where did that come from?
Well, because
that
we're
was
talking
not
about-
the proper place for an expletive, Sean.
I will. Cox Matter T-shirt with a rooster on it.
Cox Matter.
I like that one. Joe, are you writing these down? Joe, Cox Matter is a good one.
That'd be a better hat.
With the silhouette of a rooster.
Yes.
I love my cock. But no. So
I love your cock.
cock lover. Mary, we're sorry, honey. Mary, we're sorry.
Was that her idea?
No, believe
I
it
would
or not,
believe it.
That was Ken's.
Okay.
So that makes sense, right?
That makes sense. Yeah. Why would you say that makes sense? Right. Like the black guy has to be crass?
No, because it's always
Really?
Ken. It's always
There,
Ken.
there you go again, Sean.
It's always Ken
Blatant
on this
bigot
show.
strikes again, folks.
It's always Ken. He always has to bring it down a notch for us. But I read something on Yahoo News
Unilateral.
last week.
We need a fire truck.
Name it Unilateral.
Unilateral company.
About people who wear ears and tails and noses of different animals, and they now want to be identified as that animal.
Now, are we talking about like role play type of stuff? 'Cause
No.
I'm kind of into some of that. Like, I'm not going to lie.
I'm trying to see if I can find the article. Here it is. It was a month ago. April 16th, 2015, college.usatoday.com. Growing community of furries find acceptance on campus.
Furries.
In his free time, Corey Grube likes to do what every other college student does, the USA Today article reads. Go out with friends, see a movie, try a new restaurant on occasion, don a giant homemade snow leopard suit and wander around downtown State College, Pennsylvania.
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't you?
He's not alone. A senior studying chemical engineer at Penn State University is part of a growing community of quote-unquote furries.
Furies.
Of people who dress up
A bunch of black guys with eye patches.
as anthropomorphic animal characters and have their own personas. A kind of alter ego based on the character of their choosing with names like Razgriz or Ferrari. Then they often share their characters with people by creating online profiles and attending blah, 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 blah. But here's the problem, people. You people. When you start opening the door, there it is. Dan Butcher was nice enough to batshit crazy lives matter.
Yes, they do.
Oh, thank you, Nene. When you start allowing people to self-identify versus identify them naturally. Now, we can have the whole gay and lesbian argument, and
Right.
we've had it many times before.
Right. Like, no, he's gay. And you're like, no, that's a lesbian.
No, that chick is totally making out with another chick. Identified.
Right? Is that the argument you were talking about
yeah.
that we've had?
But, when it comes to transgender and now these furries and and it's only going to continue.
Furries?
Just ridiculousness. The precedence has been set with these transgender bathrooms.
Yes.
And now you're going to have, we're going to walk into Target and there's going to be litter boxes for these furries, like litter box bathrooms, furries only.
Maybe.
And I agree, Mary, a lot of this is a distraction to further divide us. But the other thing that it's doing is making everybody in these groups feel extra special for who they are. And none of us are special in the same way that all of us are. We individually have special traits. As a human being, in the grand scheme of things, we're not that special per se. And in other words, none of us have more rights than others, or should.
Right.
None of us are any more of a human or any less of a human. We can argue morality. But as far as being developed the same way,
Yeah.
we're not that different. And when we start recognizing these special groups as being more important and giving rights to people in groups that, let's face it, it's make pretend. I mean, hell, there's even rumors now that Bruce Jenner wants to become Bruce again.
Yeah, grass isn't always greener, is it?
I guess not. I wonder if they got to the final surgery and they're like, okay, Caitlin, now we're going to take off your male genitalia. And he was just like, hey, you know what? That was just not a good idea.
I was totally kidding.
I just evolved. Listen, I've always wanted to have boobs just so I could touch them all the time. I like boobies because I'm a dude. But when you start running down this road of people becoming more important and being recognized for things that they aren't,
Yep.
it scares me a lot. And again, I know that some of our listeners will argue with me. As far as the gay and lesbians, what people do behind their own doors, none of my business.
Nope.
When you start coming out into public dressed as a friggin' raccoon, and you expect me to call you Rocket and allow you to take a dump in a public litter box or something stupid, I cannot acknowledge that and accept that. I just
But
can't
that's how
do
they
it.
feel. That's their identity, Sean.
I feel like a friggin' millionaire. Where's my jet?
That's a
Why
great
don't I
point.
have a jet? God damn it. I'm a millionaire in my heart. I'm the owner of a humongous friggin' media mogul outlet. I'm a partner. We've earned it. Where's my millions of friggin' dollars? Sac Executive Airport's not far away. They land them there all the time. One of them must be mine, right?
Yes.
No.
What do you mean no?
It's not in the bank account yet.
Oh.
And that's fine. We haven't achieved that status. And to be honest with you, it hasn't really been a focus at this network. The focus of this network has been to give conservative voices an outlet. And we're very proud of that. We're very proud of our show.
Yeah.
But it's not about imagining who we are. We're very well aware of who we are. We're a couple of screwballs who have been fortunate enough to have people show up and listen every Wednesday night. And we've been surrounded by great people. And we've been lucky enough to build these friendships and relationships and keep the good fight going. But that's who we are, and it's okay for now. It's not going to be okay in the future. I still want a friggin' jet. I don't even like to fly. I just want to say I have one. I want to be that rich. But I can't just show up and identify as that. You have to be that. Either if somebody morphs into an animal like Sacco has, then I will recognize their rights at that point. Physically, in reality, not have surgery done or anything like that. But wake up like Sacco did that one day when he turned 16 and hit puberty, and all of a sudden you're a werewolf. Okay, werewolf lives matter. But the reality is, I don't think having something physically attached or taken away, either through science or through glue
Or staple gun.
or staple gun, makes you
Scotch tape.
that thing.
No,
Listen,
what is the genetics?
apparently
the
nothing.
what's the
apparently
DNA
they
say?
don't matter.
So let me get this straight. So the left that wants to focus so much on science denies science for feelings. Right?
But you see, with global warming, only the science that they agree with is okay.
Okay, so then does that mean conservatives can call them gender deniers?
Yes.
Because if they call conservatives climate deniers, then are they gender deniers? Because the science isn't definitive on gender, folks.
Keeps changing.
right? Science is not definitive on gender.
Look at the 1976 male Olympian became Woman of the Year last year for ESPN.
Yeah. How do you prove gender? I mean, we think we've identified the chromosomes, but have we really?
I just can't. I'm going to start putting down, whenever I fill out an application for anything, I'm a black female.
Yeah, because you feel that way.
Argue with me. Argue with me. Especially at the DMV, state agency, state of California. Let's have this argument.
On your driver's license.
On my driver's license. Let's have this argument.
I'm a female.
It's what I identify.
You know what? That's a good point.
And wait a minute. Sir, I don't. First of all, you're a white male. No. In my heart of hearts.
So if the state of California can require transgender restrooms because gender is based upon how you feel, then how can that same state require you to put on your employment application, driver license application, or any other piece of paperwork filed with the state a gender which is inconsistent with how you feel?
Look at the Department of Ed thing that Obama just did. On what standard was that decision made?
Because.
Right.
Next
Because.
question. Yeah, because.
So, I have the right now, I believe, the president, the White House, the executive branch, the state of California recognizes it. I'm not even going to change my name. Nothing. I'm just going to be me, walk in and identify as a black female. And see what happens. And if they deny me, can you imagine the lawsuit? And there it is already, ladies and gentlemen. Cox Lives Matter.
Cox Lives Matter.
We have the shirt on gallery.com/artwork-Cox-Life-Matter. I'm going to put it in the chat room. Oh, I love this. Jersey Joe is always my friend. You nail it. I appreciate it. But, you know, we have to find out where the line is and get back to it, because we've crossed it at some point. And it's scary. It really is scary.
I just got something sent to us from
Ken
Sackhead.
says I need a weave.
Hang on. Sackhead Michaela just sent something to us from Cards Against Humanity. And according to this email, it's a screenshot. And what it says is, I'm going to quote, "My fellow Americans, we're emailing you from the underground bunker we've built for when Donald Trump seizes control of our country and civilization collapses. In President Trump's America, you and your family will wander desolate highways, taking shelter in burnt-out automobiles as you try to escape the red dust that carpets the landscape. You will exist in a constant state of fear. You will wish you had the tools to start fires in the terrifying night, the means to defend yourself from the ever-circling jackals, and the currency to buy protection from the roving gangs that thrive in the shadow of eternal leader Trump's regime.
Wow.
Are you afraid enough to buy whatever we're selling? Today, Cards Against Humanity is releasing a limited edition Donald Trump bug-out bag. A pre-packed duffel bag with over a dozen items to help you survive the apocalypse. That will certainly transpire when Donald Trump becomes president, including a gas mask, seed packets, unmarked currency from 4 Latin American countries, and 25 new Cards Against Humanity cards."
Interesting.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to send this to you.
All right, no, I want to read that. And just before break, hey, way to bring it on a down note, sorry. Egyptian Air flight with 69 people on board disappears from the radar, according to Fox News. This is just coming over the wire. We'll try to dig up more of that.
Make sure Sackhead Michaela's email's not anywhere on that, but I sent you the picture, the screenshot she sent me.
Okay, I can do that. I'm trying to get more. I know Dan Butcher over at High Plains Pundit's going to be doing the same. Flight was heading from Paris to Cairo, Egyptian Air flight. So don't want to speculate, but just based on that information alone.
What was the info?
Egyptian Air flight came off radar, 69 people on board, heading from Paris to Cairo. So We'll follow that as the night goes on, see if anything else comes up on it. Hopefully it's just a miscommunication, but doesn't happen much these day and age. We're up against a break. When we come back, Clint, what do we got?
Oh, really? I'm going to follow something up after that downer? Those two things we just dropped on our folks? We're talking about Donald Trump and the new polls since we segued from the Cards Against Humanity.
Donald Trump and the strip poll, all that. And
No, not Bill Clinton.
Oh!
It's Donald Trump.
All that and more here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians.
You got a business. You didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying coffee was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Socko as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back to the Sackheads Radio Show live in the SHR and Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm talking to you, Clint. Thank you so much for joining us, Clint. You awake over there?
Yeah.
Okay. An hour ago, you were happy to have me here, and now, not so much.
I'm still happy to have you here.
You're just not awake to tell me about it.
I'm not awake to tell you about it, and my hungry's hurting a little bit.
Oh. Well, we do have some lovely Greenwood snacks here for you.
Thanks to you. Thanks to Sean. So I think this presidential race is going to be a race of who's less unfavorable. And right now that's Donald Trump.
Okay.
61% of voters have a negative view of Hill Dog.
The Hillinator.
Yep. And 56% have an unfavorable view of Trumpeter. And this is according... Trumpeters. And the Trumpeters, those are folks that really trumpet Hillary or Donald Trump's success and message. The Trumpeters. What?
Nothing. All I can think
the
of
Hill
is,
Dogs and the Trumpeters.
All I
What's
can
the
think
problem?
of is the Musketeers roll call
Right.
song
Yeah.
with Trump singing it. And I can't do the impression, so I'm not even going to try. It's just funny to me. But go ahead.
T-R-U-M-P. T-R-U-M-P. Donald Trump.
Huge.
Donald Trump.
Fucking huge.
It actually works because you could do, right, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck. You could do Donald Trump. Like Disney should do a whole thing. Mickey Mouse, Donald Trump. I like it. I see where this is going. Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump. Hillary, we could do like a whole election.
Hill Dog, Donald Trump. Hill Dog. Oh, man, go on.
This is according to a Fox News poll that was released today. So Trump is actually ahead. I think it's first time in the polls.
Yeah, and pollsters, again, I'm the first one to admit when it comes to polls, I'm not exactly a huge believer in polls.
That's not true.
Because I have a tendency on political polls to be grossly inaccurate.
Right.
And I know the left will immediately turn around and say, hey, yeah, by the way, this is a Fox News poll, so, it's just all conservatives they were voting with anyhow.
Yeah, by the way, how's Hillary still winning? She lost another primary.
How Hillary is winning is, and I
the cheating
yes,
superdelegate.
When your party decides to turn around and fix it for the single person that they choose,
yes,
and then they reach out to the superdelegates and say, "Hey, you're going to vote this person, or you won't be a superdelegate anymore." That's about it, really.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, that's it.
So according to this new poll, the favorable rating for Hillary Clinton for Hill Dog, or the Hill Dogs, Team Hill Dogs for her supporters, 37% favorable, and the Trumpeters, 41% favorable versus 56 unfavorable for the Trumpeters, 61% unfavorable for the Hill Dogs. Wow.
Interesting.
Wow. Among women, 33% view Trump in a positive light, while twice that obviously view him negatively. Yeah. Interesting. Currently, 65% of GOP women view him favorably, which is up from 55%.
That's a big rise,
in March. It is, yep, and 49% before that in September. So he's actually gone up. He's gone up from 49 in September to 65% now. So that's good. So look, he's got a shot. He's got a shot. I just, I know we've talked about this. I know there's still, like, who is it? Billy Crystal, who's still trying to get from the National Standard. Is that him?
Bill Crystal.
I call him Billy Crystal. Well, he's the actor, right? I wonder if you ever found Curly's Gold. Anyways, he wants third-party candidate. Romney is still out there being a jackhole, which I think would be the stupidest thing that anybody ever did.
The
party's
Romney.
the party has done so much for Romney and these people that for them not to come out. And by the way, have you seen Trump? Trump actually came out and talked about who his Supreme Court nominees, his considerations for Supreme Court. Have you seen this?
No.
Yeah, me either. Anyways, no, I'm kidding. Trump came out and gave 11 names of potential Supreme Court nominees.
And I say no for a reason, and I'll tell you afterwards.
You said no, you haven't seen it for a reason?
Yes.
Or no, you don't like it?
I don't dislike it. I think he could have added a few more names, but go ahead.
Look, he did pretty well. The 11 he picked, the top candidates are pretty good. Now, granted, he didn't pick the main the number one. Who's that guy? Kavanaugh.
Oh, okay.
Kavanaugh from the Federal Appeals Court in Washington, and Paul Clement. Now, those are two very big names that he didn't put on there, that weren't on that list. Very, very, very conservative judges, but he's got some good ones on there, including one of Scalia's former law clerks, Stephen Colleton out of Iowa, and Allison Eade out of Colorado. I think he's really trying to show his conservative picks in terms of trying to get the party behind him, and also trying to garner that support. Look, he knows his picks are going to have to be vetted and confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that. I mean, he just had this meeting with Paul Ryan, where both of them said it was positive, and so I think Trump understands that unless he wants a third-party run and to guarantee a Hillary Clinton presidency, and even if he might not care personally, I'm not saying he does. I think he does care. I don't think he wants Hillary as president.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of his own success, bottom line is the guy still has an ego, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing necessarily, but I mean, the guy is a very, very successful private businessman, and of course there's going to be some ego there, and I have no issue with that. But of course that's going to come into play where he doesn't want to lose.
Right.
Trump does not want to lose. So I think he's trying to play nice with the, I don't want to say the establishment, but certainly with the conservative wing of the party, and basing that, having judges that have based their decision primarily on constitutional law.
Mm-hmm.
Larson is the one that is currently on the Michigan Supreme Court, and that's the one that was a former law clerk under Scalia. Delivered one of the tributes to Justice Scalia in March. So she also served in the Justice Department at the time and assisted in writing that justification for enhanced interrogation techniques. So I think that's a solid conservative pick. And granted, there may be, these two names weren't on it. Big freaking deal. The guy is obviously more populist than he is true 100% walk the line conservative, and that's fine. But the guy has conservative principles. I think if you actually take, there's a poll out there you can take of where you actually agree with these candidates on the issue, and I think you'll find that his answers on the poll were actually pretty conservative.
Mm-hmm.
So I like this list he put together, and I could absolutely live with any one of those folks we mentioned a hell of a lot more than I could live with anybody Hillary would put forward.
Yeah, no, I listen. Anyone that Hillary's going to put forward is not going to be the one we want.
Our country would be done for the next 25 to 35 years.
I would have to agree.
Guaranteed.
I would have
guaranteed.
To agree.
And what I like about some of the names on his list, look, one of the judges he put forward is 41 years old, a 41-year-old conservative.
Yeah, and that
could potentially impact the court for the next 40 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the man's smart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Trump's not an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. Well, if anybody says Trump's an idiot, then I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. It's like saying Hillary Clinton's an idiot. I don't think she's an idiot. She got to where she is today because she's a very shrewd individual. Some may say evil individual.
Evil shenanigans.
But I don't think she's stupid by any stretch. So I like this. Look.
Let's just say in this hand, we had a handful of nominees from Donald Trump. And in this hand, you got nothing in this hand. It could something from Hillary. We don't know. It was a letter, maybe. We don't really know. I was listening to the Exceptional Conservative show earlier this evening. And there was another candidate on the list that Ken was talking about. I believe it was Janice Brown. She's the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, appointed by Bush, George W., back in 2005. Self-proclaimed libertarian. That would make things interesting. But certainly more...
so probably going to be small government.
Yeah, more conservative, I think. Than...
Probably stay out of gay marriage issues. Probably stay out of,
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing, probably stay out of narc issues.
Yeah, a little bit.
Probably hit financial issues, constitutional parameters, and small federal government. I would guess.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be a bad choice either.
No.
I think things like Obamacare would be gone. She's big into Ayn Rand. So I well, not big into, but she mentioned Ayn Rand. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
Which a lot of conservatives and libertarians do. I think that would be a good choice as well to add. Listen, this doesn't mean that this is a done deal.
Right.
But, you know, it'd be interesting to see a libertarian on the bench. And like I said, for conservatives, a majority of libertarians would not be a bad choice. Usually libertarians are pro 2A. So, I like I said, I don't think that would be a bad choice either. But I overall I agree.
I like the Joan Larson.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Joan Larson submission. I like a lot of those submissions.
I agree.
Some of them I don't know. I'm not very familiar with. Yeah.
So I just trying to find updates, and this is why I've been quiet this segment on the Egypt.
Yeah, no, I get it. Keep trying to find them, but I want to talk about Little Kim.
Okay. I was going to give a quick update.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were searching
flight was
for
at 37,000 feet, 10 miles outside Egyptian airspace, or 80 miles, sorry, 10 minutes outside of Egyptian airspace. I'm following Michael Safi at The Guardian, a UK newspaper. It's flight number MS-804 from Charles de Gaulle to Cairo. It's an Airbus A320. It looks like the plane was built and delivered in 2003. Local time, 2:45 a.m. Is when it lost contact. 59 passengers, 10 crew, and they've launched search and rescue efforts. I just one of the pictures that he tweeted out. It just they were flying directly over the Mediterranean, and my first question that came up is terrorism. Obviously,
yeah. How is it not
right.
nowadays?
It leaves from Paris, which we know that whole area has been riddled. It's going to Egypt.
Yep.
But then my second question was, I go back to, what was it, 1984, Korean Air Flight
Shoot-down?
5, the Russian shoot-down. I wonder if Syria is not that far away.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the Russians were patrolling the Med, the USS Donald Cook, that have had all those flybys in the Med by the Russians, Su-24s. So we know the Russians are out over the Med. And I wonder if that's going to be a point of contention. Because remember,
would there have been a radio transmission?
Oh, eventually you may get something. There could be none. And I don't know if, you have to remember, what was it, last year? An Egyptian plane was down, or a Russian plane was down after taking off in Egypt over the Sinai. I read a report the other day that a lot of Putin's advisors are starting to go real staunch and pushing him towards a war buildup. They've done crazy stuff before.
Crazy Ivans.
Crazy Ivans. So as
Well-
much as I'm looking at the terrorism aspect, I'm also the Russians are going to sneak into my view. And an
since-
accident at 37,000 feet is not very likely.
It's not, and I would think you would have something. First of all, even if you had double engine failure, those airplanes could glide. They'd be able. I think they have those little pods that stick out the bottom with the propeller that gives them some very, very minimal power. Maybe like an alien spacecraft can plug it in. What?
Doubt it.
Oh. Well, look, you brought up the Russians, so I want to talk about how North Korea is screwing with the Russians. Did you hear about this?
No.
Little Kim and his navy, I think they rowed out to a Russian yacht because I think they have kayaks in the North Korean Navy.
Kayaks,
if I'm
too
not
advanced
mistaken.
canoe.
That's not true because they had that submarine, right? But I think it was one of the Japanese midget subs. I think they stole it from a museum and were using it. Yeah.
It was parked outside of a Dunkin' Donuts running.
Right.
It was on its way to the museum.
So North Korea stopped a Russian yacht and held it for 2 days before they let the crew and the yacht go. So they were taking part in an international sailing competition in South Korea, and North Korea's Coast Guard decided to seize it in international waters. They ordered the boat towed into port. Look, I can't make this up. And then afterwards they said, it's a big misunderstanding.
Oh, man. Yeah, sure it was.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
Putin kind of whispered into Little Kim and said, hey, look,
little fat man.
Look, you're messing with the wrong nation, okay? He's like, I will turn your country into a glass parking lot. Listen.
I don't know if you're there, but me and your father, I smacked the shit out of him in private. I will do the same to you.
But you fat little man.
You fat little man. I can picture him saying that.
Oh, yeah.
You fat funny man, come here. Release the yacht, or I kick your ass.
Personally. And then I bomb your country. And
Literally, it would be me in a plane bombing your country for fun.
For fun. And I laugh over a loudspeaker when I do this. While I ride the horse. With my shirt off. And I pose for pictures.
Now, you come here, little man. I take off my shirt. I ride you like horse. We forget the whole thing happened.
I saw this in movie once. I'm not going to lie.
Smile.
This might get a little weird.
Smile for the
Here's
This
what I
might
need.
get a little weird.
2 dragons.
2 dragons. Starsky and Hutch.
Yes. Little Kim screws with anybody. When you piss off the U.S., China, and Russia within a 1-year period of time, you're doing something right.
But that shows how batshit crazy he is, right?
Yeah. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
That's right, sackhead Clint.
I am dangerous.
No, it'd be.
I am dangerous.
I am dangerous.
I am dangerous. I just, all joking aside, I would love to see that phone call because it's almost the immovable object, unstoppable force kind of thing. You have Putin, who's batshit crazy in his own right, and militarily has the power and is not afraid to use it, as we've seen.
Right. But he has been in check.
A little bit.
Because he knows we have a big military with a lot of nukes also.
A little bit. but he's crazier now than he has been in years.
Oh, yeah. Well, because we have a weak administration and
Right.
weak foreign policy.
And then you turn around and you have Riddle Kim.
Yeah.
Who's batshit crazy. Even if they don't have nukes, I'm pretty sure he thinks they do.
Right. Well, he's batshit crazy. He thinks he has a badass military. And he's screwing with whoever.
Right.
Sees this yacht.
So now, take the yacht. So now you turn
Take the
around.
yacht. I wonder if he has a high-pitched voice.
I run aboard it. So now you turn
It's
around
cold outside.
and you
It's
have
not
these
small.
two talking on the phone. I know it's their people, but it's their policies talking on the phone.
Right.
And just nobody want. It's almost like the two kids in high school who both think they're super awesome, and they want to dance with the same girl. And while they're fighting, the girl leaves. Like it's that kind of mentality where neither one of them's going to back down.
No, you know what it's like? It's like the high school football star who actually is badass and can back it up versus like the chess club president.
Right. Who knocked one guy out accidentally, and he thinks he's a badass.
Right. but knocked one guy out accidentally in World of Warcraft.
No.
Like while LARPing.
No,
like it wasn't even like for real.
He was carrying his chessboard down the hall and hit somebody in the head accidentally, and they knocked out.
No, I don't even think it was that awesome. I think it was during like a live action role play thing where he was supposed to win some confrontation as like an orc or whatever. I don't know.
Agador in the chat room says, how crazy is he? Could his generals paint nuclear signage on an ordinary missile and fool him? Yes. I actually believe they could.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
I absolutely believe that they possibly could do that.
Of course they could.
I think he buys into the facade of himself as much as he perpetuates it. So I'm sure somewhere in his head, Little Kim knows that he's not as badass as he leads on. He has a little bit of that bravado.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm almost convinced that he's 85% belief, 15% bravado. I think he's that batshit crazy. I mean, you look at stuff that he does to poke the bear.
Literally
in this case. But you look at like the shelling. Remember the South Korea submarine that got ripped in half? Just all these different things that they do. They've hacked us. They hacked us. So he's not afraid as much as he should be. Until Vlad calls. That's my favorite part. It's almost like Batman calling like a thug. You know, like the thugs in his room and they like have the captives.
But not
and they're
even
all
Batman.
Laughing.
It's like the Joker.
Deadpool.
It's like I love that movie.
It's like the Deadpool. It's like Deadpool calling the bad guy.
Right.
Just doesn't care. Like,
right.
Hey, just so you know, if you don't release him, I'm going to kill all of you. And I'm coming. Now.
Yeah. Hi, Francis.
Hi, Francis. So, I am sure that yacht was released.
Putin, I wish he wasn't as cool as Deadpool, but Putin is like Deadpool.
Hey, listen, Putin's one of those guys. You look at his approval ratings in his country, it's like 86%,
Yeah,
88%.
but those are all rigged.
They still keep voting him.
He won with 102% of the vote.
He's really convincing. No, I'm just saying, but so even if you cut it in half, he still has a higher approval rating than our president.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, for a country.
Yeah, no, look, he's like the guy you want on your team.
Yeah, he is like a political porn star, if you will.
Right? I mean, he's not
rock star.
You don't want his God. Freudian slip.
What?
So yeah, you don't want him you don't want his policies. But if it comes to defense, ooh. What if Donald Trump brought Putin in for his for an advisor in his cabinet? What if he just offered him a job?
He's like, hey, listen.
I want you as a military advisor.
I see what you did. in the past.
I see what you did.
I don't necessarily think it's our way, but I think you get a little moxie, and I like that.
Right.
I wish Obama brought Putin in as a military advisor.
Oh, I don't. Could you imagine that? Mr. Putin? Yeah, so Texas is fighting us on this whole bathroom thing. You shall kill them all.
Hey, just for an update, and if you go to shrmedia.com and click shop, you can get to our T-shirt store. We now have the following T-shirts available. Hillary's yearbook photo, Trans Species Matter, I Love My Cock.
Trans Species Matter?
Lives Matter. I Love My Cock, and Cock Lives Matter. What if Trump offers Putin a VP spot? He couldn't do that because he wasn't born here.
Right.
But,
we need a picture of Donald Trump holding a rooster with the I Love Trump's cock, too. Or Trump loves his cock. I mean, there's so much you could do with that.
Yeah. No, that'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Ooh. You could have Trump holding a cock up in the air and be a trumped-up cock.
These are all great ideas. Why aren't you writing them down? We're up against the break. Thank you to Jersey Joe for making these T-shirts come true, man. We greatly appreciate it. You are a rock star. Make sure you listen to the Reaver Common Sense.
I like how you actually said rock star this time.
Every day right here on the Sackheads Radio Show. And then, I'll give him a promo later for the other show, just because it's fun. We'll be back here on the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying half of the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com. SackheadRadio.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reverb Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. So almost the entire break, we've been thinking of new T-shirts. No, we're going to skip on some of these for now. We may put them in motion afterwards. Somebody said your chat room went completely CNN, the Cock News Network.
That's in line with mine.
Right, it's not far off.
So I'm going to say what my idea was.
Okay.
That is not true. It's not really my idea. It was our idea. It was a collaborative. And it's a giant rooster, like taking up the entire front of the shirt. Black in color. Get your mind out of it. It says this is S.A.
I love how you say, get your mind out of the gutter before you say that.
We're SHR. We're not the BBC, but we need a huge black rooster on the front of the shirt. Big black rooster.
So there's some really, I'll tell you right now, there's some really good shirts and stuff out there on the SHR store. There's some great, Jersey Joe's got some great Reaver swag out there, including a skateboard and some other things.
He's got a skateboard?
Yeah.
Why don't we have a skateboard?
I don't know, because we're not cool.
We need a surfboard.
He has been rocking the Game Day Crew shirt.
Do they have dry fit?
I don't know. What the hell would I know that? What is dry fit? Dry fit is when you're like building something, you put it together without nailing it together just to see if everything fits. That's a dry fit.
No, dry fit like that. You know, the workout. Never mind, you wouldn't. Never mind.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I was about to yell at you for even trying to insinuate that. Yes.
Baseball trivia.
Okay. Go for it.
They were in the Pacific Coast League, same league as the Sacramento River Cats are now. And who was their most famous baseball player? Whoever played for them. And I'm going to tell you this, they were in Oakland Athletics. Well, they were the Kansas City Athletics back then. In 1969, they started out as an athletics organization before they switched. So they were affiliated with major league teams. They were a true AAA ball club until it was just, I'm guessing it was too costly or whatever. And I think they disbanded like late 80s, early 90s. But their jerseys are amazing. Anyways, do you know who was?
Who?
Barry Bonds.
Wow.
Barry Bonds was a Hawaii Islander.
Interesting.
I know you like baseball trivia.
I did not know that. That's pretty good, actually. I'm very impressed.
Thank you. That's all I got.
Let's get on to topics.
I'm out. We've already been on topics.
We still have an hour left in the show.
What are you talking about, hour left in the show? Let's drink beer. Topics? Playoffs? Playoffs? I love how you can't laugh right now.
Was that what Herm Edwards?
Yes. Yes.
With the
playoffs,
skins, right?
Playoffs? It was the beer commercial, right?
Yes. That was awesome. Oh, man.
Yeah. So another story came out this week that more emails came out. They were released, and they were released last Thursday by Judicial Watch. And at one point, Secretary of State at the time, Hillary Clinton, showed that they were trying to communicate with her Chief of Staff Cheryl Mills at the time, her Chief of Staff Cheryl Mills, over a secure line when Hillary Clinton got back from a trip. And Clinton wrote to Mills, quote, "I called ops and they gave me your, quote, secure cells, but only got a high-pitched whining sound." Ms. Mills then suggests that Clinton tries the secure line again, and Hillary Clinton wrote back, "I give up. Call me on my home number." So she made a conscious decision. Yeah. Yeah.
I just, that's like talking to my mother. No, Ma, you're just going to hit this button. No, Ma, on the cell phone. All you have to do is hit the conference, then you can call Kelly, our sister. No, just call me on the home number. Click.
Right, but this is supposed to be a secure conversation.
Right. That's the scariest part.
How crazy is that? Look, this is after. Do you remember when she told that other guy? When he's like, hey, they're having issues with the fax, and she's like, that's all right. Just strip the heading and send it non-secure. What?
It's fine.
It's fine.
Mrs. Clinton, these are top secret documents. Top secret, not secret.
And not if it doesn't say top secret.
Right. Consequences, schmonsequences, as long as I'm rich. Like, that's pretty much Hillary's mentality. She's the Daffy Duck of politics.
She's not even that cool, because Daffy Duck is kind of funny sometimes. She is the... I don't even want to say Wile E. Coyote, because Wile E. Coyote is too cool, too.
Yeah.
Like the Petunia Pig. Just a non-consequential, non-funny...
Something, yeah.
Like a space filler.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like Porky Pig was relevant and Petunia tried to be. I mean, it's kind of like that. Bill Clinton was relevant and Hillary's trying to be.
Right.
She's Petunia Pig.
Petunia Pig. And starring Hill Dog as Petunia Pig. Listen. Very nice shot from
that
across
was
the room into
amazing.
the bucket.
Thank you.
You have to look, and I laugh because it's sad, but you have to look at the big picture on this. You have to see the fact that, the comical side of it is she's too old and out of touch and she hasn't driven herself in, 30 years? And we're trying to get her to figure out sat phones and secure technology, etc. She thought it was okay to put a server, unsecured server, inside her house and use that. So, because she didn't want to deal with a second cell phone, or it was too difficult or whatever. You now go down. Thank you, Clint. You now go down to these phone calls and listen. We had what was it, Ukrainian
Did you say
hacker?
go down to these phone calls and listen, like listen in because it's non-secure?
Because anyone could.
I see what you did there.
You had the Romanian hacker last week come out and said that he had hacked Hillary Clinton's email and server, that it was easy. You now have...
I believe him, too, by the way.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Why
Honestly,
is he in custody?
The burden of truth or the burden of denial falls to her, in my opinion, at this point.
I think there's enough there. Well, the burden of proof is always on...
No. I just mean against him and her. She has to prove that he didn't. Because he's not going to make claims like that unless he has some sort of proof that he did. But,
right.
And she's only at the Secretary of State position. And I'm not saying only like it's a minimal position, but it's not like she's the president. Or even the head of the CIA.
That's still...
Where
she was still in a pretty significant position.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is even at that elevated position, yet not all that important, so she doesn't see all the important stuff, she still was loosey-goosey with her handling of top secret documents.
Her position as Secretary of State, I mean, she is the number one diplomat, the face of our foreign policy. That's a huge, and you're dealing with intelligence that affects us on that level, on a global scale, as Secretary of State. I think that. I would be.
But what I'm saying is
shocked. I will be shocked if. And look, did you see the story where she categorized the investigation as an inquiry? And the head of the FBI came out and goes, "Yeah, I have no idea what an inquiry is. We do investigations, and that's what this is." And he's really at odds with the Obama administration now, as well. So look, I'm not a huge FBI fan, and I know you're not either. I think that
we've made that apparent on the show.
What's that?
We've made that apparent.
Yeah, look, I mean, some of the agents individually, they're nice people, and some of them, they do some good work. But do I think that they should exist from a legal standpoint?
Nope.
I don't. I really don't. But they have a job, they have a function, and it seems like they're doing it. I don't know if they are. I don't know what the Justice Department is going to do. But it seems like the FBI at least is working hard to try and maintain some kind of to give some kind of impression of impartiality. I really think they are. I was kind of impressed with that. I'm impressed that they're interviewing top aides. I'm impressed that they offered immunity to that kid that set the server up, that the FBI director came out and directly contradicted her. We'll see if it's just tough talk or if they truly are doing an impartial investigation. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But it certainly seems like they may be doing that. And who knows? They might do a true impartial investigation into this whole thing, knowing full well that the Justice Department, the AG, is going to kick the case.
Right.
So they can be, that way they can save face and say, well, we did our job, and they didn't file charges or whatever. I can see that happening too, as sad as that sounds.
I agree. But going back to my case in point is, here's a woman who couldn't even respect the office she was already in and the responsibility with it. And she wasn't the number one spot, if you will. I'm sure there's classified information that the Secretary of State does not get to see. It needs to be handled in a manner that national security.
Oh yeah, you're not getting stuff that the president's getting. Everything
right.
that.
Right. So, political arguments aside, would you trust this woman with more classified national secrets?
No.
And
look,
I think that's a big thing that people need to look at.
Here's what, and going along those lines, Sean, I think people need to look at this. There is something in the business world called trade secrets.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure Donald Trump has trade secrets.
Yes.
He knows how to keep a secret because that man has done a pretty good job making something of himself. And yeah, Daddy left him $1 million, but he has turned that into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise and brand. He really has. And you can't do that without knowing how to negotiate, work people, take charge, and keep secrets. And the fact that he has, to my understanding, I haven't seen any big news releases where he's been loose with intelligence or with sensitive information, and this is from a private business standpoint that he's guarding. Hillary Clinton had something that arguably is more important than that, and she couldn't even safeguard that and was just like, whatever. At least Donald Trump, like the guy or don't like the guy, he understands how to protect sensitive information. And so I think that's something else that can be looked at. And I understand, again, that it's private sector from national classified information, but sensitive information is sensitive information. One can bring about the downfall of the business that you build,
yes,
right? And one can bring about problems for a nation. And he's been able to secure one. He's demonstrated in my opinion. He's demonstrated his ability to handle things on one level. She has demonstrated that she clearly cannot.
Well, that's my point. Let's throw the private sector stuff out for a second. She's been in politics a lot longer than he.
Right.
She lived in the White House.
Yep.
She was a senator. She understands confidentiality. You could argue she had years of training. Back in the day, she worked on the Nixon investigation. She's always been in and around confidentiality. She understands the importance of it.
Yeah.
And she failed miserably.
Yep.
Either through ignorance or stupidity.
Yep.
Or just straight up jackassery. I don't care.
Let's talk about Sanders for a second.
The burn dog?
Burn dog doesn't get off this scot-free either. How long has he been
Which
in
is
power?
funny because all his people want is shit scot-free.
Right. how long has he been in politics and in the Senate? Like 112 years?
I think 15.
Didn't he
20
vote?
Years.
Didn't he vote for the Emancipation Proclamation or
Voted
against it?
yeah.
Against it?
Voted
I don't
against
know. That's hearsay. He's not a stinking outsider.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's been inside.
No,
he is a total insider. He has not done anything since he has been there.
Well, no, that's not true. He's collected a paycheck, got a full retirement, has had benefits the average person, including the people who are voting for him, would never get, even under socialism.
Right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So he's done something, Clint. Give the screwball a little bit of credit.
No.
You know,
no, he's building himself as this Washington outsider.
Well, he lived outside the Beltway is what he meant.
He is such an insider. It's not even funny. It's ridiculous.
Outside the Beltway. That's what he means when he says outside.
He's a big old silly phony head.
Oh man, I love every time I see him. All I think of is Larry David on Saturday Night Live. Who you gonna vote for? Her or me? A guy with one pair of underwear he dries on the radiator. Like that over and over again. Every time I see him talk, I'm waiting for that.
That's
and
awesome.
listen, they had a big fight. Barbara Boxer was out in Vegas at a Democratic campaign, and Bernie's people showed up this weekend. There was a lot of static. People yelling threats. People yelling they're not leaving. Bernie announcing in Vegas that he's going to fight the campaign right up to the convention. He's not going to give it go. So he's almost a little crazy in the sense that I think at some point, and maybe he doesn't care. He's 82 years old. Maybe he doesn't care. I think 4 weeks ago, he may have ended up in Hillary's cabinet should she get elected. I think as time progressed, she's less and less likely. I think at first she wanted his supporters, but now you start hearing the anger of the so-called traditional Democrats or the old-school progressive Democrats versus the socialist Democrats. I know it's the same thing, but...
Well, Bernie Sanders was arrested in Chicago in, 1963?
Mm-hmm.
No big deal. He was found guilty of resisting arrest.
Well, he was misunderstood. He also wrote that raping a woman, or that women fantasized about being raped. So, the guy's a big thinker. I think we all know that. But...
So, 1990, he was in the House of Representatives. So, he's been in Congress in one form or another.
Since 1990.
Yeah.
Until 2012. Did he get out in 2012, 2014?
He's still a senator. Right? He was elected senator in 2005.
Oh. So 14, he was done, 7 years. Yeah, he's not in now, so it had to be 14. So, yeah. So it tells you who Bernie is.
He's an insider.
Oh, yeah. He's literally one of the biggest insiders. But he's just running that he's not. And in a way, and I've brought this comparison up before, in one way he's learned how to rally the base that he's going after. He's learning how to go after the anti-establishment people.
Which is what this election's about.
Both sides.
That's why Bernie
and Donald
are doing so well. And the only reason Hillary might get the nomination is because of those super delegates, because the fix is in.
I wonder, though.
I wonder if you could, like, pitch one of those cheese crackers right here into my hand. That's what I'm wondering.
I'm wondering what happens if Hillary gets the nomination, which she will at this point, and Bernie's people stay home.
Which they might.
Which they possibly could.
This could be the lowest voter turnout election in
or
history,
highest.
Percentage-wise.
Right? Because one of the things we've taken out of the last couple of elections, especially 2012, is don't stay home, don't stay home, don't stay home, don't stay home. A lot of people are worried about staying home and to show up and vote for or against. Now, you have Bernie's people who, let's face it, it's almost cultish.
I'm in on both sides.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand that too. I'm just talking specifically the Democrats for a while. What happens if Bernie kind of gets railed?
That's a whole different movie. That'd be like a parody of Weekend at Bernie's.
Just once
Bernie
before this
gets
election's
railed.
over, I want to see Bernie come out
of the closet
from the side stage with the fake arrow through his head and with the music playing from Weekend at Bernie and do the fake dance
do the
across
Bernie
floor.
do the Bernie lean.
Yeah, just do the Bernie lean. I think that would be absolutely outstanding. No, but you could we talk about Trump versus Hillary. We're not taking into consideration the fact that a lot of Bernie supporters may not support Hillary as well. And we've seen those arguments on our side with
Yeah.
Trump and Cruz people. But I honestly think for us, all of us agree not Hillary.
Right.
On this side. On the other side, there's a lot of agree not Hillary too.
Right. Right. So they might stay home.
So you could have a 3-1 anyone but Hillary vote. And that could make for... you could very well see, if Hillary gets the nomination, you could very well see Reagan-esque numbers out of this election. Because a lot of people who are so afraid of Hillary Clinton winning will show up. Dan pointed out in the chat room, there's a lot of Bernie's people that may vote Trump before they vote Hillary because he's anti-establishment.
Yeah.
So, you know...
And if he does a good job...
Yeah. Well, and there are people that vote for him just because he's not establishment.
Right.
Even on Bernie's people.
I just want to hear his State of the Union. It'd be like a sackhead
Wow.
State of the Union.
I'll tell you, this is huge. This is
It's
a huge
huge.
night.
Look.
I'll tell you what.
Look, we're gonna do really big things this year. Okay? We got huge numbers. We got a lot of things going on in the works. I think you're gonna be very, very
Wouldn't it
happy.
be great for the first State of the Union if everybody, all the senators and representatives are walking in, and there's a wall, and only Republicans are allowed to go through? And he's like, Mexicans built that too. It works, doesn't it?
That would be great.
I'm just saying, the walls work.
Yeah?
I had the argument the other day with somebody down in Texas, when I was down in Texas, about Edgar Castillo. I brought him up, I think, last week. Mr. Castillo. And it rings where he's like, if you don't believe in the wall and you want to support Mexico, then why does Mexico have a 50-foot wall
On their southern border.
on their southern border guarded by guys with guns?
Yeah.
I'll
'Cause
tell
it
you
works.
why. Because people are trying to get there to get here, and they don't want them there.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works out.
Yep. You know what? Donald Trump is such a maverick. You know what? That would be a great ad for Donald Trump for president. If he, as Maverick, he's Maverick. He's flying a cargo plane full of rubber dog shit out of Hong Kong. That's the political ad right there.
That's funny as hell. That is funny as hell. It finally happened. Hey, we gotta take a break.
Oh, come on. That's a great note to take a break on.
That's that's why I'm saying let's take it
Yeah, because we can't top that one
Hey,
yet.
we come back. Another one of our planes were intercepted. We'll talk about that and more of the Sackheads radio show live on the SHR.
It's almost like we're calling Kaepernick.
It's not. It's not like. Wow. By the way, it's not a Sackheads plane. It was an American plane. I just wanted to point that out. Back in a minute here on the Sackheads radio show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying half of the stupid bro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us and sticking around through the entirety of the show. Again, go to the store. Jersey Joe's done some great work for us for t-shirts. Go through all of them. Go to shrmedia.com. Click Shop Now to pick up some of the great shirts. And, of course, our great listeners and partners have helped us with some great ideas for some great shirts. And really, not only support SHR, but tell people what you really think. Because that's kind of what's more important.
Unless it's negative.
No. You can still tell them. Who gives a shit? Getting this story from High Plains Pundit started earlier today. Pentagon confirms Chinese fighter jets flew within 50 feet of a Navy recon plane over the South China Sea. Pentagon has confirmed that 2 Chinese fighter jets flew within 50 feet of the U.S. plane. We have made progress by reducing risk between our operational forces and those of the People's Republic of China by improved dialogue on multiple levels under the bilateral confidence-building measures and the Military Maritime Agreement, according to the Pentagon. Over the past year, we've seen improvements in the PRC actions flying in a safe, professional manner. However, we are addressing this issue through the appropriate diplomatic and military channels. The 2 Chinese...
Diplomatic and military channels?
Well, yeah. The Chinese J-11 fighters intercepted a U.S. EP-3 Ares aircraft and forced the pilot to descend 200 feet in order to avoid collision. Officials said the U.S. surveillance plane was conducting a routine mission in the northern part of the South China Sea, south of Hong Kong, when the incident occurred. Seems like we're having a lot of these lately, huh? Seems like a lot of the countries here that should be respecting us and or respecting us aren't. And once again, we all know about this disputed island in the South China Sea. We know that the Chinese are landing people on it. We know that we're putting boats really, really close to it, naval vessels, to make observations and to test the right of international waters. It's still international waters as we recognize it.
Yep.
And we do have the right to be there. So
we should dock there.
We should just... Dude, how great would it be if they all woke up one morning and all of our flags were all over the place and an ass ton of our Marines were just chilling on the beach, like swimming and stuff?
Right.
Be like, oh, no, it's spring break, guys. This is ours now.
No, not even this is ours. Like, hey, we're just here for the beach. Like, this is...
We're just here for the beach.
Yeah. Like this, I mean, we're in international waters, and you don't have these islands.
Why are you guys all dressed in your fatigues? Oh, well, we're...
uniform.
Yeah, first of all, it's a uniform.
Yeah, and it's not fatigued. Like, we're not tired. Like, we're not fatigued. I guess if you call them fatigues and we're wearing them, I guess we're fatigued, but not in the traditional sense
of full battle rattle, but they're just sitting around like they're on a beach in Mexico, like just
blue fruity drinks in their hands,
throwing footballs around, fishing. A couple guys
playing volleyball in jeans with their shirts off and oiled up like in Top Gun. Wait, what?
Oh, yeah. Do you see? And I keep trying to tell people, like, do you not understand that a lot of this has to do with who we have in office? This is the problem. And I know we've talked about this time and again, but Obama is just so goddamn feckless. He's a pussy, and they know it.
Yeah.
And they're going to... we saw it with the Russians. We've seen it with the Russians for a while now. Mm-hmm. Now the Chinese are going to start playing little reindeer games.
Reindeer games.
And it's something where I know he won't, but I keep waking up hoping that this president will respond in some way, shape, or form to one of these countries. Hell, even when... All right, let's just say you're afraid that he's pissing his pants over China and Russia. Let's say he legitimately fears them. When North Korea acts up, just smack him around a little bit. Have a ball.
You know what?
Straighten their asses out.
You just gave me an idea for another shirt.
Well,
maybe a Sackheads Radio shirt though.
I'm a shirt.
It's a stick figure guy pulling a sack off his head and holding it in the air, and it says "Sack up."
What if?
And if it has the Obama logo on it, "Sack up, Obama."
Sack up, Mr. President. Sack up. I love that idea. But he does need to sack up. We just keep falling for... And all he's doing is making it more difficult for the next president administration. And yeah. I'm sure he doesn't care. I really don't think he cares.
I don't think he does either.
Like I said, next stop, United Nations, in his opinion. And I fully believe that. Everyone can argue about the host law and rule and all that. I don't think that matters.
Hey, who's going to appoint him to the UN? Not Trump if he wins. Hill Dog, maybe.
Yeah. But even still, he doesn't care. He just doesn't care. There's no... listen, it's not going to be Bernie. So it's going to be Hillary or Trump. He doesn't like either one of them. At all. So, he doesn't... We can all pretty much agree that his love for country is minimal.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't love this
Because we keep
country.
refusing to be the country he wants us to be versus the country we are.
He doesn't love this country at all.
He loves his idea of what he wants it to be. He still thinks that we're just all inbred lunatics. And his followers and supporters still do too.
Yeah.
But we have a plane. Yeah, a plane. We have 2 fighter jets intercepting one of our plane once again. And he doesn't even... And this is the amazing thing. Every once in a while, even if he came to the podium and tried to tough talk a little bit, it might change the perspective.
Yeah, but he tried that. Remember with the red line, and then
Well,
nothing
you might have
happened?
to follow through occasionally.
Exactly.
But if it's not a social issue, this guy shuts up. If it's not an issue of emotion, and he can't find a way to further divide us through his actions and his words, which he does amazingly, divider in chief. He's outstanding at it.
Yeah.
But when it comes time to unify us and stand up against a foreign threat and or foreign jackassery, even if it's not an overt threat, he doesn't stand up specifically for our military.
Or law enforcement.
Or law enforcement.
Or values.
Or anything.
Right.
But in this case, our military. Now, let's say he didn't meddle in any affairs of law enforcement one way or the other. Okay. But he does. But either way, it doesn't matter. As the commander-in-chief, it's always your job to be on the forefront for the military. You're in the goddamn forefront when it comes time to let some dude take a whiz in the girls' room. You can't wait to get in front of a friggin' camera, can you?
Right.
Sign an order. Ooh, I'm going to sign an order. I'll show those. He's like the hall monitor. I'm going to write a gig slip so the principal yells at him. He was running in the hall. But when it comes time to actually stand up for our nation a little bit and stand up for our troops, people who, some of them very much live under the poverty line, yet they're defending their lives every day for us, or defending the country and risking their lives every day for us. But he doesn't have the balls to come out and say anything about it. Hey, Russia, the next time you endanger one of our jets or one of our ships, we're going to have a serious friggin' problem. Knock it off.
Yeah, next time one of your jets flies an attack pattern in international waters over one of our vessels,
to strafe our vessels,
we're going to shoot it down.
Yeah. Game over. Hell, Kerry almost said that.
Kerry said they would have been justified in doing so.
Yeah, and pulled back at the last minute before fully saying it.
Yeah.
But that's his... I mean, he can't even say it to someone's face. He's always going to have somebody else to do it. He's a coward.
He is a coward, and you know Kerry was
He's
strongly...
He's a passive-aggressive pussy.
You know, Kerry was going down that road, and the president go, oh, whoa, 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 come here, grabbed him by the collar and reined him in.
Oh, he hit the
Guaranteed.
button. He hit the Frankenstein button. And I think they would have been totally, oh, fire bad, fire bad, fire bad. And that's it, walk away. Nobody in that administration has a set of balls on them. And we're suffering for it. And it's only making it more difficult for those who serve our nation. All he's doing is making their life more difficult. And listen, you talk to members of our military. With the exception of his command staff, his specific ones?
Yeah, I don't know. You remember that article that came out about Marines doing an assignment about if they had to take action on U.S. soil? And there were, I mean, I think the new officer corps coming up, and who knows what they're teaching at West Point or Annapolis or the Air Force Academy now, I think that it's changed.
I disagree.
I think that it's changed.
I think the grunts, at the end of the day, the ones who would actually have to put and pull the trigger, I think their hearts are still in the right place and their minds are still in the right place.
Yes. And look, I would argue that I would even go so far as to say I think most of their hearts are in the right place, but I think their will to follow orders, even if those orders would be questionable at best, would override their heart.
I don't know.
That's my gut, and understand. I have the utmost respect for the men and women that serve. I really do. But if you look at, I don't know that they would know the difference.
I think a lot of them know the difference.
I think a lot of them don't, and I can back that up. And I wish I could back it up on the air, but I can't. So I don't know how many of them do. I don't have confidence in that anymore. You look at you look at who's left, and you look at some of the moves that have been made in the upper echelons of power. And look, if you have people in the upper echelons of power, and you have orders, and you have the military moving a certain way, and the people that are in command of those men and women are going to be on board. If you have a commander-in-chief who wants certain leadership in the military, do you really think that curriculum at the war colleges and so forth are not going to be molded to reflect that? Just like the assignment we saw with the Marines.
I understand.
Absolutely, that's what you're going to get out of there.
I think when the rubber meets the road, I just have faith that it wouldn't.
But where is the rubber going to meet the road? And that's the problem.
Well, this is a good point.
Right?
This is a good point. Jersey Joe brought up a really good point, is why do you think he's trying to bring in so many illegals? Put them in the military. Give them citizenship.
Yeah.
They can now serve. Put them in. Who do you think their allegiance would be to? And they're not educated per se. I mean, it's not going to be the same education about our country that people in this country should be receiving.
I think this president is also shrewd enough to understand what's happened in the public schools and the quality of education and the message that's been given, and basically how they've shifted an entire generation into thinking that America is evil and the founders were all just a bunch of rich white slave owners, and now you start that same process in the military academies, and what are you going to get? The same thing. If we don't teach our mass population about constitutional principles, and then they go to a military academy, and that is now rolled up into that military academy to where our future leaders in the military are not learning constitutional principles because they've never had it before, and now it's not getting reinforced at this level, or it's being perverted at this level. Do you really think you're going to have leaders that are going to say, hey, wait a second, we can't engage in posse comitatus because it's unlawful? Mm-hmm. Or, well, wait a second, why wouldn't the people want armed military among them? Because we're the military. They can trust us, without having that historical perspective of, no, we don't trust you among our population. We love you. We're glad you serve. We thank you for protecting us as a nation outside of our borders. And if a threat came here to us from the outside, thank you for protecting us. Mm-hmm. But no, we don't want you quartered among us. Yeah. That's my argument with that, Sean. And I think we're starting to see that, and that's why those assignments are able to fly.
Or not fly, depending on...
Or, yeah, not...
Or fly against. It doesn't... I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I guess I was able to articulate it.
Yeah, that's much better than I thought.
That's better than I thought I was going to be able to do, too, because...
Hey, I want to update on the Egyptian airplane.
Yeah.
Real quick. Plane, as of right now, is missing 4 hours. Airport official in France said it did not land. That's all we can say at the moment. The pilot has 6,200 hours of flying time, including 2101 and the A320. The co-pilot had 2,766. Teams have been dispatched to the area searching for it. It's now sunup local time there. Associated Press reports that a spokesman for the Egyptian Civil Aviation Agency told Sky News in Arabia that the Airbus A320 most likely crashed into the sea. However, he said the plane was about to enter Egyptian airspace when it disappeared from radar, which contradicts the airline statement, which said that it was already 10 miles inside. That's 20-mile difference. We're not.
So who's coordinating the search? Is it Egypt or is
Probably
it?
going to be Egypt because it's an Egyptian air and it's off the coast of Egypt. I'm sure they're coordinating the search. I'm sure it'll be a bunch of people will help out when able. But you talk to anyone, and I can remember on Edge of Liberty, I had. Sorry, my brain just went completely numb.
You just had a system reboot.
I did just totally. I just pulled a big fat Polly. I was talking to Dr. Randy Arrington, who was, of course, was a aviator, a combat aviator with the Navy, and he's a flight instructor and has flown a bunch of different types of aircraft. And one of the questions that I asked, and I want to say it was with the Malaysian airliner, is do planes normally cruising fall out of the sky? And the answer was no, unequivocally no. That doesn't mean that it's impossible, but usually it's takeoff and landing, ascension, descension, going up to flight altitude, going down to flight altitude. You had the Air France a couple years ago off the coast of Brazil, but that was pilot error that brought them down from cruising altitude to the ocean. The pitot tubes froze over. They were getting inaccurate airspeed. It was at night. There was a thunderstorm. They were starting to. They weren't paying attention. They didn't know their altitude, et cetera, and they kept making worse moves that ended up crashing them into the ocean. There was no distress call whatsoever. There's another one that just popped up. There's been no distress call made. So usually that means something was sudden and tragic. You could have a massive decompression. But usually at that speeds or at that height, cruising, I don't think they've 32,000 feet or.
I would think you would have shown on radar, and even if you had decompression, right, and system failure, an airplane that particular aircraft is pretty stable, so it should be able to glide even with no power, even with massive decompression.
Right.
I mean,
if everyone was knocked out of the plane, it would still keep flying for the most part.
Right, it would be able to glide, and then you'd see a steady decline.
And tragic for it to fall out of the sky.
I would think, yeah.
And 10 miles off the coast, allegedly, that's a good part as far as the investigation goes, because that really kind of limits the amount of space that you have to search for, as long as their radar was accurate. 37,000 feet, that's a cruising altitude, tells me they hadn't come into their descent yet. I don't know how far off the coast the Cairo airport is, but it looks like it's probably 150, 200 miles in, so they probably hadn't started their descent yet. So that means they were about to. I would guess. I'm not a pilot, but I would guess they were about to pretty soon, because it takes a long time to come out of altitude from 37,000 feet and land. So it's just very bizarre. Like I said, it had to be something tragic and sudden. Question with the so a couple of questions for the from the chat room about it, and I don't know if I can answer these intelligently, and I'll ask you. We don't know, of course, if there was a bomb placed in the. You're right. We don't know. Paris. Everything that's going on there, you have to think there's terrorism. You automatically have to think that. And I know it's a knee-jerk reaction, and people, well, you have to let the investigation run out. Well, you know what? You have to also be realistic. Decompression wouldn't matter that much at that height. Would it affect the cabin? Yes. If it was a sudden and tragic decompression, think Payne Stewart's airplane, what was that, 10, 15 years ago now? If the flight crew at that altitude was not able to get oxygen on in time, if it was a pretty tragic and quick, and you're talking like the Air Hawaii plane where the roof came off.
Right, and I remember that, yep.
Fortunately, they weren't at 37,000 feet. They were only at like 15 or 16,000, so there was enough oxygen. You're up 37,000 feet. If you have a sudden failure like that, the decompression, you only have a couple seconds. So that possibility is there. I think a buddy of mine's a Northwest pilot. You probably have about 10 seconds. And if all of a sudden you're flying a plane that's had a massive hull breach, and you now focus trying to fly the plane or even react to it, once you start losing oxygen, you start just not being able to make decisions. One of those decisions could very well be not putting on your oxygen mask. Hypoxia, that was the word I was looking for. Thank you. So
you have histotoxic hypoxia on a regular basis.
I do.
What?
Nothing. Just
it's alcohol.
I know. It's just kind of funny.
Thanks.
So we'll follow the story. Obviously, High Plains pundit, the Fox News.
I see what you did there.
What's that?
High Plains.
Oh, I didn't even see what I did there. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
High Plains pundit. We'll be following it.
Why? Because it's a plane.
If you're listening on the SHR Media Network, I'm sure our Fox News updates will cover it as well.
Wait, our what?
Our Fox News updates.
That's not a big deal.
It's no big deal. We just
practically a partner.
I do
practically almost
sort of
practically. Whatever.
I do want to talk a little bit. And I see Dan Butcher just posted this. Downtown Dallas is lit up blue tonight in honor of the men and women that keep our safe. It is National Police Week.
Mm-hmm.
The official Memorial Day was this past Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
There are events going on all week. I do keep a blue light lit all year round on my front porch to honor law enforcement. This is the week. If you still have it and took it down, you can put it back up.
Yeah, because last week or the week before was California's.
Yep.
Right.
And there's, like I said, there's been a lot of officers attacked and killed this year. There's been a lot of officers who've died in car crashes. And if you go to the National Law Enforcement Memorial page, which, by the way, if you ever go to Washington, D.C., you have to go to I've been to that memorial, and it's absolutely beautiful. But this is a week where you just sit back and really remember those who put their lives on the line domestically 24/7. There's always a cop walking out the door, leaving a family behind to go serve everybody else. Some parts of the country, it's for very little money, with very little training, and they still do it because their heart's in the right place. And some of those cops don't come home, or if they do, they don't come home the same way they left. Well, they almost never come home.
They never come home the same way they left.
So just this is the week where if you see a peace officer or cop, sheriff, I'll even throw the FBI and all those guys in, the uniform guys, Secret Service uniforms, guys like that. I'll throw them in this week. We tell them thank you and think about them. If you're a praying family, keep them in your thoughts and prayers. I grew up, my dad was a police officer, and I watched him walk out the door every night. And it wasn't until I was older that you actually realized that he may not come back. I was lucky. But it depends on if I screwed up that night or not. But usually I was lucky that he came home. Sometimes I was very unlucky that he came home. But that was my own doing. And I have many, many, many friends who are in law enforcement. And, it's just something you need to think about daily. Especially with this country, as you mentioned, the president, so many other people who are so anti-law enforcement because they want to take one or two incidents and cause it to be bigger than what it really was.
Or spin it.
And yeah, there's absolutely cops that do bad things out there.
Yep.
But it's so minimal.
And they have, and they're not tolerated
They're
among
not
their
tolerated
peers.
within the community, or
They're really not.
or in the public.
Yep.
It's very asinine. They want them to face justice more than some of the bad guys that they put away because of the sort of Benedict Arnold approach. They feel like they've been cheated by the person that they called a brother or a sister. So just keep that in mind. This is the week, and there are a lot of kids out there whose mom and dad go to work every single night. And like I said, I was one of them. And I know that fear. I know how scary it is. And when they come home, it's great. And when they don't, it's tragic.
I always thought it was cool when Dad brought home the car.
I didn't.
You didn't think it was cool?
You didn't have to wash it?
No.
Folks, that's it here for the Sackheads Radio
No.
Show.
Neighbors hated it because I play with the siren all.
I was allowed to wash the outside.
Yeah.
We'll be back next Wednesday at 11 in the East, 9, 8
I was allowed to wash out the back seat. I didn't understand until I was much older.
8 in the West, right here on the SHR Media Network. Make sure you check out all the great shows on the SHR Media Network. Jersey Joe, Reaver of Common Sense, back tomorrow morning. And also, we just have an awesome lineup. Saturday and Sunday, you're going to start having High Plains Radio back. Dan Butcher is going to be jumping back in on the weekends. Looking forward to that. The exceptional one, Ken McClinton, as always, an honor and a privilege to see him, the Butcher family entirely, and the Underground Professor in Texas. It was a beautiful week. It was a blast. If you wanted some stories, we got them. So we'll see you next week. Thank you, folks. Have a great rest of your week.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.